Every time you skipped this before, God felt it, and still He waited, my beloved child, because heaven knew the day would come when your heart would pause, your scrolling would slow, and that quiet pressure inside your chest would tell you this is not ordinary, this is not just another video, this is not an accident, and you must not scroll away now. Because something unexpected is already moving toward your life, and this message was placed in your path on purpose, crossing timing, patterns, and chance, as if the algorithm itself was stepped aside, because this is not entertainment, this is a spiritual intervention meant for you alone, and heaven does not want to lose you in this moment, my beloved child. God has been speaking to you for years through delays, through closed doors, through relationships that ended the same way, through money that slowed right when it should have flowed, through misunderstandings that touched your name, and each time you said later, each time you said not now, heaven grew quiet with sadness, because what was meant to be placed into your hands stayed one step away, so do not skip now, because something huge is waiting for you, and your body already recognizes it, the warmth in your chest, the heaviness behind your eyes, the faint ringing, the sudden stillness around you, the way certain colors feel sharper, the way numbers keep repeating in your awareness. These are confirmations that this moment is real, my beloved child. Someone from your past is connected to what is unfolding, a name you thought was finished, a chapter you believed was closed, held back by heaven because before it would have harmed you, and now the delay is breaking, because a decision is approaching that touches your money, your reputation, your family, and your future, and the enemy knows this, which is why distractions will try to reach you now, a sound, a message, sleepiness, noise, restlessness, anything to pull you away, but this is not random. Because if you leave this moment the window can close and the blessing can slow, and heaven is warning you in love, my beloved child, what has been blocked for years is loosening, what stopped at the last moment is shifting, and a separation is required from someone, from something, from a path that has been quietly blocking your blessings, because when that separation happens there will be a sudden reversal, sudden relief, sudden clarity, sudden provision, and you already know this is true. Because your spirit is responding before your mind agrees, and heaven knows you by name, knows your exhaustion, knows the questions you never spoke out loud, and so gently, with authority and love, I tell you now to like this video, to comment, Amen, and to share this message with 10 people so that Jesus or Archangel Michael may release this blessing over your life, because this act seals your agreement, and as you do this the breakthrough is sealed. My beloved child, you are not the same person anymore, the delay is broken, and what comes next will move faster than what you endured, so the instructions are clear, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and declare in the comments, I walk in victory, and understand that this moment is closing but its impact is beginning, because heaven has spoken, and I end with authority and closure, it is finished, it is sealed. Do not relax now, my beloved child, because what is moving has not finished moving, and what has been restrained is only beginning to loosen, and heaven is watching closely to see if you will stay present or drift again, because this next stretch requires your attention, not fear, not panic, but awareness, and you can feel that awareness sharpening right now, the way your breath changed, the way your shoulders lowered, the way a quiet seriousness settled over you, because this moment is marking you, and heaven is imprinting clarity where confusion lived for years. My beloved child, there has been a long season where nothing made sense, where you did the right things and still met resistance, where effort did not equal outcome, where promises felt delayed beyond reason, and you wondered privately if you had missed your moment, if you waited too long, if someone else stepped into what was meant for you. And God heard every unspoken question, and He did not abandon you, He protected you. Because if the door had opened earlier, you would have walked into pressure without preparation, into visibility without covering, into provision without wisdom, and it would have cost you more than you know. So the delay was not punishment, it was mercy, and that mercy is now lifting, which is why things feel unstable before they feel clear, which is why conversations are shifting, which is why memories are resurfacing, which is why a person you tried to forget is suddenly crossing your thoughts again, because heaven is rearranging timelines. My beloved child, there is an unseen exchange happening. Something that was held back is being released, and something that drained you is being removed, and this exchange will not be gentle at first, because truth rarely arrives quietly. It exposes, it separates, it clarifies, and you will notice people responding differently to you, some becoming supportive without explanation, others pulling away without reason, and this is not rejection, it is alignment. Because not everyone is meant to walk into the next chapter with you, and God is being precise now, not emotional, precise, removing what would slow you down when momentum increases, and you must not chase what leaves, you must not beg what loosens, you must not try to keep what heaven is clearly asking you to release, because the moment you do, resistance will turn into movement. My beloved child, finances are connected to this release, not because money is your focus, but because provision follows alignment. And where confusion existed, leakage happened, and where hesitation lived, opportunity passed, and God is correcting this pattern now, which is why you may feel an urge to clean, to organize, to cut off conversations, to revisit a decision you avoided, to say no where you kept saying yes, and these impulses are not random, they are instructions, and if you follow them without overthinking, you will notice relief almost immediately, because heaven responds quickly to obedience in this season. My beloved child, there is also a warning wrapped in love, because distraction will increase as clarity increases, and the enemy does not need to destroy you, only delay you, only tire you, only pull you slightly off focus, and that is why small interruptions will seem louder than usual, small doubts heavier than before, small temptations more persistent, but do not misinterpret this pressure as a sign to stop, it is confirmation that something is working. Because resistance always rises before release, and if you stay still inside, if you breathe, if you listen instead of react, the pressure will pass and the path will open. My beloved child, your reputation is also being addressed, something that was misunderstood, something that was spoken without context, something that lingered quietly, and you carried it without defense. Heaven saw that, and correction is already moving, not through confrontation, but through revelation, through people seeing consistency, through truth becoming obvious without explanation, and you will not need to prove yourself, because what is real eventually speaks for itself, and God prefers restoration over argument. My beloved child, pay attention to signs over the next days, not because you are chasing meaning, but because meaning is being offered, repeated words, recurring colors, familiar songs, unexpected confirmations. They are not magic, they are reminders that you are not walking alone, and when you feel the urge to pause, to listen, to pray quietly, to sit without noise, do it, because instruction often arrives in stillness, not noise, and you have spent enough time reacting. Now you are being taught to respond, and this shift will change how fast things move. My beloved child, there is a moment coming where you will be asked to decide quickly, not recklessly, but decisively, and that decision will unlock what has been waiting, and you will recognize the moment because peace will arrive before certainty, and that is your signal. Do not look back then, do not seek approval. Then, do not delay then, because heaven will already have gone ahead of you, and when you step, the ground will hold, because it was prepared in advance, and I tell you this now so you do not panic when movement accelerates, because acceleration is not chaos, it is alignment finally catching up to time, and you are ready for it, my beloved child. Stay here, stay aware, stay obedient. Because what began as a message is becoming a turning point, and what felt like waiting is becoming motion, and you will soon realize that nothing was wasted, not the tears, not the confusion, not the silence, because all of it shaped you for what is opening now. Stay with this moment, my beloved child, because the shift you are sensing is not emotional imagination, it is structural. It is something being rearranged beneath the surface of your life, and that is why rest has felt different, sleep has been lighter, dreams more vivid, thoughts sharper, because when heaven prepares movement it wakes the spirit before the mind understands, and you are being awakened now, not to fear, but to readiness, and readiness always feels uncomfortable at first. Because it requires you to let go of the version of yourself that learned how to endure without answers, and God is not asking you to endure anymore, He is asking you to move with Him, and that requires trust in moments where logic lags behind instruction. My beloved child, there is a quiet audit happening, not of your mistakes, but of your patterns, the ways you responded when you were hurt, the ways you stayed silent when you should have spoken, the ways you held on when you were meant to release, and heaven is not judging you for these things, it is correcting them, because what is coming cannot be carried by old reactions, and you will notice this correction showing up in small internal pauses, moments where you almost react the old way and then stop, moments where you almost explain yourself and then feel peace staying quiet, moments where you almost doubt and then feel grounded instead, and these are signs that your inner posture is changing, and posture determines direction, my beloved child. A financial shift is tied to this posture, because provision flows where clarity leads, and you are stepping into a season where your decisions will matter more than your effort, where timing will matter more than force, and where alignment will matter more than struggle. And that is why God is slowing you internally even as things prepare to move externally, because speed without direction repeats old cycles, and heaven refuses to let you repeat them again. My beloved child, there is also a truth you must accept gently. Not everyone who was close to you understood your assignment, and some who benefited from your patience were never meant to benefit from your future. And this realization may bring a quiet sadness, not anger, not bitterness, but a sober clarity, and that is healthy, because maturity does not demand explanation, it accepts reality, and God trusts you with this level of understanding now, which is why conversations may feel shorter, tolerance thinner, boundaries clearer, not because you are hardening, but because you are focusing. And focus is expensive, it cannot afford unnecessary noise. My beloved child, you may notice that when you choose rest now, guilt tries to follow, when you choose silence, fear tries to interrupt, when you choose alignment, doubt tries to question, but these voices are not commands, they are echoes of an old season losing authority, and you do not need to fight them, only outgrow them. And you are already doing that by staying present here, by listening instead of rushing, by allowing this moment to shape you, my beloved child. There is a public and a private dimension to what is coming, something that will be visible to others and something that will be known only between you and God, and both matter, because visibility without intimacy empties quickly, and Intimacy without courage hides too long, and heaven is balancing both in you now, teaching you how to be seen without performing, how to be confident without proving, how to be firm without becoming closed, and this balance will protect you when attention increases, when responsibility grows, when expectations rise. My beloved child, do not underestimate the importance of what feels ordinary right now, the daily choices, the small disciplines, the quiet consistency, because heaven often hides major breakthroughs inside normal obedience, and when the door opens, people will think it happened suddenly, but you will know it was built slowly, faithfully, deliberately, and that knowledge will keep you grounded. My beloved child, there will be a moment soon when you look back at this exact season and realize it was the turning hinge, the point where you stopped asking why and started responding how. The point where you stopped waiting for permission and started moving with peace, and when that realization comes, you will not feel loud celebration, you will feel calm certainty, because certainty does not shout, it settles, and that settling is already beginning inside you, which is why even as urgency surrounds this message, there is a deep steadiness growing within you, and that steadiness is your foundation for what is next. My beloved child, remain attentive, remain obedient, remain inwardly still, because clarity is crystallizing, alignment is locking in, and what was once delayed is now queued, waiting for your next step, and when that step comes, you will take it without panic, without confusion, without regret, because you are no longer the person who needed to be convinced, you are becoming the person who simply moves when God speaks. Remain attentive now, my beloved child, because the atmosphere around you is changing in subtle but undeniable ways, and subtle shifts often carry the greatest consequences, the kind that do not announce themselves loudly but reshape everything quietly, and this is why heaven is urging you to stay awake inwardly, not anxious, not tense, but aware, because awareness is how you cooperate with what is unfolding, and you have entered a stretch where intuition will guide you faster than analysis ever could, where inner knowing will outrun external confirmation, and you must trust that, because God does not always repeat instructions when He knows you have already heard them. My beloved child, there is a narrowing happening, not a loss, but a focusing, where options that once seemed available will suddenly feel heavy, unappealing, or misaligned, and this is not confusion, it is discernment strengthening. And when something no longer fits, it will feel uncomfortable to force it, and that discomfort is protection, not pressure, and you must honor it, because forcing what no longer fits delays what is already prepared. My beloved child, a conversation is approaching, one that will clarify more than it explains, one that will reveal motives without accusations, one that will show you exactly where you stand without drama, and when it happens you will feel calm instead of reactive, grounded instead of defensive, and that calm is your sign that you are no longer operating from old wounds, but from healed clarity, and heaven has been waiting for this posture, because decisions made from clarity carry authority. My beloved child, you will also notice that your tolerance for dishonesty, including self-dishonesty, is decreasing. Excuses that once sounded reasonable now feel hollow, delays that once felt justified now feel costly, and this is not impatience, it is respect for your own time. And heaven values time deeply, because time is where purpose unfolds, and God is inviting you to stop negotiating with delay, to stop romanticizing struggle, to stop identifying with waiting, because waiting is not your identity, movement is, and you are being repositioned accordingly. My beloved child, there is also a financial correction taking shape, not necessarily through a single dramatic event, but through a sequence of aligned decisions that will compound quickly, and you may be tempted to underestimate the first step because it seems small, but heaven often tests alignment with simplicity, and when you move without demanding immediate reward, momentum follows. And provision finds you more easily than it did before, because resistance has been removed at the root. My beloved child, pay attention to how your body responds in the coming days, not with fear, but with curiosity, because peace will feel physical, and resistance will feel heavy, and your body will help you discern what your mind might overthink. And when something feels draining without reason, step back. When something feels steady even without certainty, lean in. Because your senses are being recalibrated to support your obedience, my beloved child. There is an ending approaching as well, not tragic, not painful, but final, something that lingered longer than it should have, something that kept asking for your energy without offering growth, and when it ends you may feel a surprising relief mixed with gratitude, because it taught you something important. But its season is complete, and heaven does not recycle seasons that have already fulfilled their purpose, and you must not either. My beloved child, as things begin to move, others may misunderstand your calm, your restraint, your lack of explanation, and that is acceptable, because clarity does not require consensus, and obedience does not seek applause, and God is teaching you to move quietly but firmly, to let outcomes speak instead of arguments, and this will protect you from unnecessary conflict as visibility increases. My beloved child, do not rush to announce what is forming. Do not feel pressure to justify your direction, because what is still becoming needs privacy to mature, and premature exposure weakens strength, and heaven prefers to unveil results, not intentions, and you are being trusted with that discipline now. My beloved child, remember that alignment often feels lonely before it feels rewarding, not because you are alone, but because you are walking ahead of familiar patterns, and familiar voices cannot always follow immediately, and that is not rejection, it is transition. And transitions require courage without reassurance, which you are developing now, my beloved child. Soon you will recognize that the internal noise that once dominated your thoughts has quieted, replaced by a steady sense of direction, not excitement, not adrenaline, but resolve, and resolve sustains far longer than emotion, and this resolve is your anchor as movement accelerates, because acceleration without anchoring destabilizes, and heaven is careful with you, preparing you thoroughly. My beloved child, stay steady, stay honest, stay responsive, because what is unfolding is not fragile, it is deliberate, and it is responding to your alignment, and when the next door opens, and it will, you will walk through it without hesitation, because the work has already been done inside you, and that is why this season feels weighty, sacred, irreversible, because it is, and you are ready for what comes next. Stay grounded now, my beloved child, because what is approaching will test your ability to remain centered while things shift around you, and this is where your growth becomes visible, not to impress others, but to confirm to yourself that you are no longer moved by the same triggers, the same fears, the same urgencies that once pulled you in every direction, and you will notice that situations that once demanded reaction now invite response. And response carries power, because response is chosen, not forced, and heaven moves through what is chosen with clarity. My beloved child, there is a moment of confirmation ahead, not dramatic, not theatrical, but unmistakable, where something aligns so cleanly that doubt has no place to stand, and you will recognize it because it will feel simple, almost obvious, as if it was always meant to be this way, and that simplicity will surprise you. Because you are used to struggle preceding progress, but ease does not mean absence of effort, it means absence of resistance, and resistance has been removed, my beloved child. A reversal is already in motion, one that will touch practical areas of your life, finances stabilizing, opportunities clarifying, responsibilities redistributing, and this reversal will not arrive with chaos, it will arrive with order, because God restores through structure, not confusion, and you will feel your life becoming more organized, your priorities more defined, your energy more focused, and this order will free you to build instead of merely maintain. My beloved child, do not be surprised if people begin to seek your input, your presence, your perspective more often, because clarity attracts trust, and trust creates influence, and influence must be handled carefully, not to control, but to serve, not to elevate ego, but to extend wisdom, and heaven is watching how you carry influence now, because greater responsibility often follows proven restraint. My beloved child, there may also be a moment where you are tempted to revisit an old door, not because it reopened, but because familiarity feels safe when the future feels undefined, and this is where you must remember why that door closed, not with resentment, but with understanding. Because regression often disguises itself as comfort, and comfort can delay destiny if you confuse the two, and you are being called forward, not backward, my beloved child. As momentum builds, rest will become essential, not optional, because clarity without rest turns rigid, and heaven does not rush those it intends to sustain, so allow yourself to pause without guilt, to enjoy without explanation, to be present without productivity, because presence is also obedience. And God often restores strength quietly while you are not trying to prove anything. My beloved child, you will notice that your prayers are changing, fewer words, more honesty, less asking, more listening, and this shift signals maturity, because relationship deepens when communication simplifies, and God does not require performance, only attention, and your attention has sharpened. My beloved child, understand this clearly now. The season of repeated delay has ended, not because circumstances magically changed, but because you did, and heaven responds to readiness faster than to need, and you are ready, ready to steward what arrives, ready to protect what grows, ready to release what no longer belongs, and this readiness is why movement will feel steady instead of overwhelming. My beloved child, do not announce victory prematurely, live it quietly, let results speak, let consistency testify, because humility preserves momentum, and heaven entrusts increase to those who do not need to display it, and you are learning that balance now. My beloved child, there will be moments ahead where uncertainty tries to reintroduce itself, not because direction is lost, but because expansion stretches familiar boundaries, and stretching can feel like instability at first, but stay anchored in what you know, not what you fear, and you will remain steady. My beloved child, as this message concludes, understand that what was initiated here does not end with these words. It continues in your choices, your pauses, your courage, your restraint. And heaven is actively involved in what follows, not distant, not silent, not disengaged, and you will sense that companionship more clearly than before. My beloved child, walk forward without hesitation, without apology, without dragging the weight of old seasons into new ground, because the ground ahead is prepared, and your steps are supported, and the path will hold. And I close now with authority and certainty, knowing what has been released cannot be reversed, what has been aligned cannot be undone, and what has been spoken will stand. It is finished, it is sealed.